Tokyo's neon arteries pulse with artificial life. Every shadow is mapped, every movement recorded. Mayako walks home, her thoughts drifting. Suddenly there is a pop-up message on her wrist bracelet. You are late. Swipe in within 15 minutes, or your deviation will be recorded.
A reminder flashes on my bracelet. It's not prison, but it is. The system knows my patterns. If I don't comply, it won't be long before well-being officers show up at my door. They are not here to help. They exist to control.
Mayako quickens her pace. The city streets quiet except for the occasional humanoid drone scanning alleyways. Mayako stands before the crumbling, rusted exterior of her apartment complex. The walls are marked by the wear of time, every inch steeped in decay. Rusted metal bars cover the windows, barely holding together the remnants of what was once home. She arrives at her old, government-subsidized apartment. She swipes in. The system logs her presence. Mayako prepares her meal. Government ration pack, a basic, utilitarian item, designed solely for survival with no regard for quality or nutrition. It's a cold, gray symbol of the system's control. A food source engineered to keep the population alive but lethargic, devoid of energy, or the desire to question their existence. The screen behind her on the wall starts to buzz. Suddenly it starts to glow brightly, displaying the same forced, exaggerated smile of the government broadcaster. It flickers violently, echoing the hollow promises of the system that controls her every move. In this world, compliance is not just expected, it is mandatory.
Good evening, valued citizen. Today, the system has made even greater progress toward harmony and efficiency. The elite have announced new lifestyle advancements, ensuring our continued prosperity.
Daily news. More like daily brainwashing. This system is so old. They don't even update propaganda for my kind. The government doesn't need me to believe. They just need me monitored.
She kneels, removes a tile from the wall, exposing a hidden keypad. She types in a sequence. The screen goes black. She thinks of Experiment 67, one of her assigned work subjects, the one who taught her how to code the program that would shut down without alerting the government. She whispers her thanks, as she has countless times before, her voice soft yet sincere.
Thanks, Experiment 67. Even in your broken state, you still knew how to silence this noise. Because of you, my evenings are peaceful.
Mayako eats in silence. Her mind drifts back to when the world was a little brighter. A memory of her as a child, walking with her mother in a public garden. Around them, humans and robots move in controlled harmony.
Mayako, listen carefully. Humans were once needed for labor, for consumption, for production. But now, machines do it better. Humanity is evolving, not naturally, but forcefully. The elite will stay. The masses will be repurposed. Once they are done with the population correction, the small number of remaining humans will be grown in labs, brainwashed and utilized for specific purposes, to provide organs for harvesting, to serve as entertainment for the elite, or to act as guards for the robots and AI during unprecedented events such as solar storms and power cuts.
I didn't understand back then. She was right. Exactly that happened during the big storm a year later.
Mayako finishes eating, cleans up, showers, and lies on her bed staring at the ceiling. Outside, the city glows with artificial life. Inside, masses escape into the government's virtual paradise.
Most people come home, switch on their VR chip, and disappear into fantasy. A world where they have control, where they have wealth, where they are free. They spend government tokens to live fake lives. The system pays them and takes it back. A perfect cycle, a perfect trap. I could escape too, but I prefer reality. Even if it's miserable, at least it's real.
Mayako closes her eyes. The hum of the city drones outside. She exhales softly, letting the cold familiarity of the noise seep into her consciousness. Her eyes drift shut, surrendering to the momentary illusion of sleep. Then, a sharp vibration against her wrist shatters the quiet. Her bracelet glows with a sterile blue light, the message flickering in the dim room. For this week, your job assignment is finished. Next 3 days you are off duty. Report on Monday as usual. Changes will be announced if any. Her brows furrow. 3 days, that is unusual. There is no structure to the work cycle, no labor laws to dictate rest. Some weeks stretch into an endless monotony, her existence measured by task after task with no break in between. And when days off do appear, they are rationed, one at a time, never 3. A strange unease tightens in her chest.
Should I be worried?
The thought comes unbidden, creeping into the corners of her mind like a whisper of something she has no control over. Her pulse remains steady, indifferent, as if her body has long since learned that fear is an unnecessary function. What is there to lose? She shakes her head, as if to clear it.
Either it means nothing, just another shift in data collection, and I'll return on Monday for another parade of gray days. Or they have reassigned me to something even more mindless. Or I am about to disappear from the system completely.
It is not an impossible fate. People vanish, erased as cleanly as errors in a code. Most never realize they were ever here at all. The system does not need reasons. It only requires efficiency. Mayako lets out a breath, slow and even, and rolls onto her back. Staring at the ceiling, she contemplates the weight of it all. 3 days. 3 days of what? Waiting, wondering, preparing for something she has no power to change. She shakes her head again, resigned, and closes her eyes. Then, she opens them. A faint, almost imperceptible smile tugs at the corners of her lips.
Tomorrow is the flea market.
The flea market not supposed to exist. A temporary crack in the system, tolerated only because it currently serves no greater threat. It is a place where those like her, the remnants of a world that once had choice, gather to exchange whatever they can salvage. Forgotten tech, useless scraps, data chips from abandoned terminals, expired rations sold for half a token. It is not a rebellion. It is not a movement. It is simply survival. And for the first time in longer than she can remember, she feels something flicker in her chest. Excitement. A fragile, almost forgotten emotion, like a relic buried beneath years of indifference. She closes her eyes again, this time allowing herself to sink into sleep. The distant murmur of the cyber city lulling her into the unknown of what tomorrow may bring.